first we're going to start with the intro. All right, so welcome to Documenting the Technique of Rene Izquierdo Part 2. So the reason that this playlist started is, I guess, 2 or 3 reasons. One of them is that I've been trying to promote this on my book and the ideas on social media. Right now I'm kind of just using Facebook as sort of a test ground. So I'm creating these videos and then posting them on there. Eventually I'll try to figure out how to expand other social networking platforms. Obviously I'm also using YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, that's the other one. Kind of right now my idea is that this video is being created in June of 2025. My guess is 2027 or early to mid 2028 is when the actual book will come out, and probably a more formal YouTube channel dedicated to this. In the meantime, I need to practice making video content. I need to promote the book so people know about it when it's coming up. So I kind of think the YouTube channel in its current form on my YouTube page is sort of like fishing. You know, if people stumble upon this and they like it, and if the word gets spread, that'll help me. If not, it doesn't cost me a lot. As it is, I'm learning a lot from creating this content. Both, I'm getting better at playing and internalizing the material by teaching it, but also I'm getting better at creating content. And so I kind of take the attitude of, you know, Joe Rogan. I'm not a fan or a hater, but I listened to a little bit when it first came out and know the history of it. And he started in his, you know, man cave just with a laptop, and it slowly grew. And so that's sort of the attitude I have about this project currently. And I also find, again, a lot of value learning by doing in terms of recording and making content and different things. And I also work a full-time IT job and do what I can when I can. I think part 1, the structure had a lot of value in terms of like as an initial rough draft, and to a certain degree, I think the final draft will look somewhat like it, and in the sense that kind of like a weightlifting book where there's a chapter for each muscle group and it gives you an exercise, or to be more on point, like pumping nylon, the way it's pretty broken up into like breaststroke, free stroke, arpeggios, like by each technique. That was kind of the idea of the original playlist, and that playlist and the one I'm creating now, part 2, are going to both serve as rough drafts. And when the book is, and so I'm going to be working on a recital with Rene from June 2025 when I'm making this video through the spring to early summer of June 2026, and so I'm going to be focused on that. When I can circle back on the book and the YouTube playlist, I think having all this down, both some of it in writing, I have an outline for the videos, and then the videos themselves will serve as really good notes to help me just get right back on the horse. In terms of more displaying the content, why I think part 2 is kind of helpful is that I first thought I was going to write a book, and then I realized this had to be video and audio, and so then I created that first playlist where I have, you know, my interpretations, where I use my system of anatomy and physiology to explain Rene's technique. And then I have the conversations that him and I had on the subject, so you can sort of see my work and judge for yourself. And then I recorded all my lessons when I first moved here that covered a lot of these initial subjects, so I include those as well. I think that has value, but I think a lot of fat needs to be trimmed down. I mean, a lot of editing needs to be done. And some of it was like, it took a long time to edit just to get it to where it was at that point. And then it took me a long time to understand certain things, like engagement took me a whole year to figure out, from spring 2024 to spring, early summer 2025. And so once I understood it, I was better able to organize the content and thus edit it as well. And so this playlist is also kind of a byproduct of that learning experience as well. So kind of the plan moving forward is to spread this content on Facebook and YouTube, and not have Rene conversations, break down the technique using my system, and then, I think the other thing too is that once I started to understand things a little bit more, things became more simplified. Like when we're talking about the right hand, there's still going to be a chapter on every technique, I think, in the final book, but there's going to be more weight in the portion on alignment and engagement, because once you know how to be aligned and engaged, it's not like there's a lot of stuff that we talked about in terms of tremolo or in terms of arpeggios. Like there's a few tricks specific to arpeggios, there's some things specific to tremolo, just as 2 examples. But like once you learn how to get the forearm and wrist aligned, and you learn how to engage, you kind of do that for all the right hand. And so initially, part of the reason I was breaking it down by all these different types of techniques is I thought, oh, there's going to be so much that he has to say about each one of these things. But once you get past some of those early subjects, and the same kind of holds true for the left hand, in terms of left hand setup and engagement, everything else becomes a lot slimmer. And so that's kind of the idea of this playlist as well, as to lean into that simplification. So last thing I'll say is this playlist is also hopefully going to be shorter in terms of total video time. Thank you for your time and have a good day.